Hello, this is Rosie Collins with a Bucky O'Hare episode commentary. My first one, in fact. This is the Corsair Canards, but before I get onto it, I want to make a general point about the Mutants and Aliens and Toads line, which is right here, right now. There we go. Now that was very misleading when I was a child, along with Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, which does use the word mutant correctly, to be fair. But combine that with Thundercats and their mutants and that rather misleading line in this theme tune, and I thought for quite a long time mutant just meant anthro. And I can't remember when or how I found out that was wrong, but actually the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and Bebop and Rocksteady were mutants, but it wasn't because they were anthro. Now, I love this episode. I love Deadeye. I think Christy Marx is the best writer, and she was very much involved with the development and the creative side of the show. These two ships here, the Stellar Swan and the Iron Vulture, are reminiscent of sea ships, aren't they? Giving this Earth universe audience very piratey vibes. The Stellar Swan is written on the side of her there. Don't know the ship parts very well, sorry. I know the name of the Iron Vulture from the original script, which was on the DVD-ROM, which I can no longer access, probably no one can, but it is actually available online now. And it's very interesting to read Christie's original script with some details that don't make it through, and I think I probably will refer to that when relevant. I don't think anyone was fooled by these disguises. Possibly Bruiser's disguise as an armchair, actually. I think I probably didn't realise that with Bruiser the first time around. That was a pretty good disguise. Being very hard on those pirates there, aren't you, Bruiser? Now let's listen to Deadeye here.
You got a tongue like a whip, lassie.
Was he flirting a bit there? I think if he was, it was the delivery rather than the line itself. I love Scott McNeil as Deadeye. And he did sound sort of suggestive there. This Red Jack, Deadeye, Linnell love triangle, or should I say Red Jack, Linnell, Deadeye, doesn't really come across that much. And it's really only the way Scott delivers that kind of thing that makes me think maybe those two have got a history and it's not just your average love triangle. And he's not really interested. But we'll see a bit more about that later. Good point by Greb, to be fair. Why has she been allowed before the council with her weapons? Other than that, Greb, the jackal there, is not a good character, not to start off with anyway. We'll find out maybe he's not so bad after all. But he is stubborn, narrow-minded, unfair, prejudiced against the pirates. The idea being, I think, we are intended to maybe suspect him as some sort of saboteur. When the idea of a spy comes out later, perhaps Christy was hoping we'd be thinking, is it Greb? He didn't want this treaty. Maybe he doesn't want the Corsair Canards working against the Toads. Blinky, you don't have any lines in this episode, you poor thing. And there's Deadeye and Willy. And they tend to pair off, don't they? Deadeye and Willy. Bucky and Jenny. Bruiser and Blinky. Deadeye is the best friend Willy has made in the Aniverse, which probably has got a lot to do with why I like him. Duck Mermaid there. Does that picture suggest that the Corsair Canards originated as sea pirates, maybe some decades or centuries ago? If not, that half fish, half duck woman picture doesn't really make sense. Don't drink it, Willie, it's swamp water. Oh dear. She does have 2 arms, but that's okay because she's a mythical creature. Let's listen to this.
My sweet Linnell, you must believe me. You are more precious than a ship full of booty.
I just wanted to compare Red Jack's flirting with Deadeyes there, actually, and yuck. Bright, unoriginal, smarmy. I'd rather have Deadeye myself. Now, the script does specify that all these ducks do have 4 arms, but look, 2 armed ducks there, chucking some darts. I'm not keen on the idea that there are 2 armed ducks in the Aniverse. It's an idea I've seen fans express, and given those 2 guys chucking darts there, you see Deadeye's costume. I'm going to come back to that. But back to that other point. 2 armed ducks have been drawn. I think that's just animation mistakes. I get the impression that Aniverse ducks are 4 armed ducks. Now that person with Deadeye's costume on, I always thought was just sort of laziness, reusing costumes. According to that original script, well done Willie, very good, that is supposed to be Deadeye's younger brother. You can hold your baby or toddler very securely with 4 arms, can't you? We'll see that younger brother of Deadeye's who's taller than him and doesn't even really look like him very briefly a bit later on. I wonder if I can remember and very quickly point it out. Now, Red Jack's got a couple of different things against Deadeye here. He wants to carry on being a pirate and honouring traditions and all that kind of thing. But as Scarbill has pointed out, this be a private matter, he's more worried about Linnell. But he's not really going to mention it again, and I think when I was a small child, I didn't really clock it. As I've grown older, I've become quite interested in the idea that maybe there is some history between Deadeye and Linnell. Willie's glad that he's going to be going to the clan meet. When I was saying earlier about his relationship with Deadeye, Deadeye did feel bad to have to tell Willie, sorry. Naught but a Corsair Canard can go to that. But Willie does actually get to do everything. He gets to go to the Berserker Academy with Bruiser. He gets to go into the Dark Heart Nebula with Jenny because he is the audience. He's our perspective. And we find these things more interesting and relatable, if that's the right word, if we're getting Willie's perspective of them. And the thing with the flying disc, of course, is a very good organic way for him to have earned being allowed to come to this clan meet. The challenge of skills is a Corsair Canard tradition. And Red Jack is really using this pirate tradition thing against Deadeye. You don't want to be traditional, you don't want us to be pirates anymore, and you won't, oh, did you mean all those duck faces to be orange like their bills? I don't think you did, animators. You won't even accept our oldest challenge. He's really using this angle to get support from the other Corsair Canards. I'm not quite sure what to say about that octopus clay pigeon shooting thing. I don't remember seeing it the first time. It's not obvious what it is until this starts to happen. That was such a long time ago, I'm well used to it now. And they don't call you Deadeye for nothing, do they, Deadeye? They call you it for a couple of reasons. Another reason I like this episode very much is that Al Negator is in it. He's definitely my favourite villain. And he's only in 4 episodes, 3 of which are written by Christy Marks. And he's introducing the idea of the spy on the council to Toad Air Marshal and to the audience. I was so young when I first saw this, I don't think I was really thinking about who the spy might be. It's hard to remember, and I'm so used to it now. I know who it is. It's Harmon the Walrus. No Complex and no Toadborg in this episode. Toad Air Marshals being the main Toad. But that's okay with me because they're in plenty of episodes. It means we get to see a bit more of Al. That original script does have a bit of a conversation about why they've come on this cruise. Really, it's so that we can do this plan framing the Corsair Canards, but it's a stupid plan for two reasons. One is that everyone really should know and believe they're at the clan meet, but I suppose, thinking about it, no one's particularly aware, especially the Toads, that they've got Willy as a witness. So they could easily lie about that. Okay, I'll give them that, but it would have worked much better if they hadn't had Deadeye as one of their disguises. Those arms, extra arms, apparently are robotic, according to that original script. I did sometimes wonder before I read that recently, how do those extra arms work? But there you go, they're robotic. But look, Bucky and Jenny and Dogstar and Bruiser, Blinky's not there, is he? They don't believe that Deadeye's turned to piracy. Well, of course he hasn't. If they hadn't said Deadeye was involved, they might be more inclined to believe it, but no, they're going straight off determined to prove this is false. Grab, you get very angry about all this, don't you? And Dogstar certainly doesn't want to arrest Deadeye. But this is very in character, very well written by Christie. He will do his duty under protest. He's still going to do it. Not that Deadeye and Dogstar have ever talked to each other before, I don't think, and they're not going to. Except Dogstar's going to direct one line at Deadeye that he's going to arrest him. And then Bucky will intervene, and really they don't know each other well, but they're all the protagonists, the good guys, so they stick together. I think I do remember when I was young being a bit disappointed in that, thinking, oh, Deadeye's not the best then, is he? I thought he was the best shot in the whole Aniverse, but apparently at least one other pirate is a match for him. The arms wrestling was not practical to animate, was it? Look, their top arms are just floating in the air. They're not anchored, bracing against the table. The whole Aldebaran mythos, I know it's very popular with fans. Personally, I could take or leave it. But in practical terms, it is useful. Jenny can, as she's doing now, contact Willy with the Aldebaran Memory Stone. Yeah, they'd be sunk without that. How could they possibly tell Deadeye and the Corsair Canards what's happened with that put-up job? That water buffalo wouldn't tell them. And I like that little bit of animation there. Willy's got his arm around Deadeye. Little intimate discussion between friends there. And Deadeye doesn't know what to do. He knows he can't stay long, but he knows he can't leave. And oh, what have you done now, animated? I was just praising you, and now you've coloured Linnell and Deadeye in orange, you silly sausages. And we're coming back to this flying disc. Good use of structure there. Brand new skill for the both of them. If you didn't clock Blackbeak's peg leg earlier, that should definitely show you. That's his pirate attribute. I would have thought, although it doesn't, there was Deadeye's brother. I did remember to point it out. You don't get the sense that they know each other. They don't greet each other or anything. Well done, Deadeye. I knew you were the best. And there's nothing in the script to say that they talk to each other, Deadeye and his brother. And it also doesn't say that Blackbeak has a black beak, but I would have thought that was the intention, as I started to say some seconds ago. But then could the animators have really coped with that, given how many orange duck faces we've seen today? Maybe not. This waitress only has 2 arms. That's wrong, wrong, wrong. So now we just have to explain what's going on. Here comes Dogstar with his painful duty, and because the animation hasn't got a lot of money gone into it, Deadeye doesn't really react to that, does he? But it's all in the dialogue here. Here's Willy with his alibi, all being very convincing, compelling arguments for Dogstar. He can't shirk his duty, but having a definite plan to sort this out, that's still going to be doing his duty, isn't it? He doesn't have to arrest Deadeye, he just has to find out what's going on. Weird hangover from the script just flashed before our eyes there. Jenny with this weird net on. Just a net over her regular costume for her disguise. Next time we see her, she'll have the same one as before. The baboon toad thing, yes, very interesting that they're terrified. It's good fun, isn't it? The panic you get from the toads. The way Bruiser is with them, you can see why they're so scared. Knows how to act as a toad, terrified of a baboon. He does most of the additional toad voices. And while we're on voices, let me praise Shane Meyer. There's Willy. What a brilliant young actor. That line was just boo, which wasn't very challenging, but he put so much into all his lines, characterises Willy beautifully. Love Shane Meyer. And there's my favourite protagonist and my favourite antagonist together in one shot. Real slick, Al. Well done, using his tail there. Teamwork from the Corsairs, and that knife-throwing game at Rigel 7 is useful. Red Jack would have never been able to catch that knife in his shield if they didn't play those games, as Willy called them earlier. And I think we can all see where this is going. It's a toad with like a suit on. When they take him before the council in a moment or two, he'll have put his Storm Toad costume back on. But some good animation here, guys, on Al's face. Those crocodilians, they do have crafty, evil faces. Even in our universe, though they're not evil, they look it. And they really use those natural characteristics of a crocodile or alligator's face to characterize Al there. And he's got some kind of video or something of Harmon having a nuke climb inside his head and control him with levers and things, as we're about to find out. Nice food, Al said there, stuffing his face. Cheeky. He's a good, fun villain, and he's quite sort of low stakes. There we go, Storm Toad outfit. He's quite low stakes, unlike the Toads. He hasn't got Complex or Toadborg on his back. He's freelance. He can afford to be a bit cocky and a bit relaxed about things. I like that about him. Blinky apparently has recorded the entire capture. He doesn't get to say anything about it. In the original script, there is a line where he says, "Yeah, I recorded all of that, don't worry, Captain." But it didn't make it into this. Quite a lot was cut for time. So we just have to take Dogstar's word for it. And I already mentioned this newt, didn't I? An amphibian like the toads. Makes a lot of sense. And he's running right towards the wall. Where was he planning to go? And now we find out what Linnell really likes is a traitor catcher. A spy catcher. She wasn't very bothered, was she, when Red Jack saved her life earlier? From a knife in the back, and Looks like you've lost your girl. She was never mine. I think when I was a child, I was sort of like, why would anyone think she was ever yours? Deadeye didn't seem interested in her, and it's only very briefly that she seems interested in him. But now that I'm older, I do think, yeah, there's some potential in that. Oh, what have they done to Red Jack's face? It was his beak, in fact, wasn't it? Instead of an orange face, they gave him a blue beak. And when Greb apologises, he apologises. Stubborn, narrow-minded and unfair. Red Jack can't thank Willie enough for the flying disc because it's finally got Linnell interested in him. And they're inviting him to be a pirate. They're not supposed to be doing that anymore, but they are allowed to rob toads. That's kind of implied. It was more explicitly said in that original script that I keep referencing. And the other thing that's a good reason for Willie not to be a pirate is that he's supposed to go home. He still has to see his parents and go to school and stuff, which suggests to me that this plot idea was at least outlined before the whole setup was finalised. Like in the original comic books, the idea probably was that Willie was trapped, stuck in the Aniverse, as far as he could tell, forever. So a bit of a hangover there, but I think we knew Willie wasn't going to become a pirate either way, didn't we? And it's all over, and I love that episode. I love Deadeye, I love Christy Marks' writing. And next time I'm going to be commentating on the other episode, which is mostly about Deadeye, the Warriors. Because those are the two that I want to say the most about. Hopefully I will see you then. Thank you very much for listening, and goodbye.